All right, let's talk a little bit about emergency preparedness. Now, emergency preparedness involves having a process to prepare for any emergency that may affect the business or disrupt our normal operations. Our procedures are documented in our emergency procedures and safety manual, which is available at all of our locations. That manual is available to you as our employees. We've done our best to research best practices from looking at practices with FEMA, with the Department of Homeland Security, with our local agencies. So just know that those are tools and resources that can not only be used here at work, but that you can use and put in place at home with your friends and with your family. So, really, what is an emergency? Well, an emergency can be any unexpected occurrence that results in property damage, injured employees, injured customers, business interruption. It can result from anything from fires and floods to tornadoes and hurricanes to violence in the workplace. There's a variety of situations that we would deem as an emergency situation. Now, in an emergency situation, the first and the most important thing is the safety and well-being of yourself and our fellow employees, our guests and visitors to our locations. Afterwards, we will always document that process that we went through and go back and do a review to make sure that we did everything the way that we intended, that our practices and our policies worked the way that they were supposed to, and gives us an opportunity for continuous improvement. So in an emergency situation, evacuating our buildings poses unique challenges. Obviously, we have a variety of locations across our territory. Some are large, some are small, some have multiple exits, some have just a couple exits front and back. So the most important thing is be familiar with where you're working. Know your exit routes. We test our exit signs and our emergency lighting regularly to make sure that in the event of a power failure, in the event of an evacuation, you will have the proper signage and the proper marking to get out of the building as safely and as orderly as possible. It's important that all of our employees take an active role in keeping our emergency routes clear from debris. Make sure that those emergency routes that are posted are properly maintained and are easily accessible not only for our employees that may be going out, but also for emergency personnel that may need to come in. Drills are a critical component to all emergency action plans to ensure that our procedures are understood and followed. We run our drills semi-annually, and just know that these drills are to be taken seriously. When we run a drill, we want everyone to evacuate the building as calmly and as orderly as possible. Meet at your set rally point for your department. That's something that your department leader will educate you on and let you know as far as where you would meet in the event that we have to evacuate the building. And roll call will be taken to ensure that we have all of our individuals out and that everyone is accounted for. When we conduct our drills, it's an opportunity for you to recognize the sounds and signals that you're going to hear in the event of an actual emergency. So know what our fire alarm siren sounds like. Recognize the strobes and lights that we may have in different areas as a visual reference, and especially in areas that have loud noise, or in areas where we need to provide some additional accessibility for folks. So in an emergency situation, whether it be drill or a real situation, we will only re-enter the building when it is appropriate for us to do so, whether that be a first responder has given us clearance to come back in, or the individual conducting the drill has indicated that the drill is complete and it's acceptable for us to come back in the building. Again, we want to take every drill as if it is a real-life scenario. Again, in our emergency procedures manual, please review that information. There is a wealth of info that's there. We really try to capture as many possible scenarios that can take place while focusing it still on the major issues that that we feel we would encounter here with our type of business and the environment that we're in. But given some of the recent incidents that have occurred in society, there's one particular scenario regarding an active shooter situation that I actually am going to hand over to a video that we've taken directly from the Department of Homeland Security. This is one of those situations that's serious enough that I want to make sure that I devote the full resource to those individuals that put this together. An active shooter is something that we hope we never have to encounter in a real-life scenario. But having said that, we want to be prepared in the event that something does ever happen.
We have an active shooter. Stand by for further information.
Tragedies such as the 2007 mass shooting on the campus of Virginia Tech, the 2009 shooting at the Fort Hood, Texas military post, and the 2011 attempted assassination of Representative Gabrielle Giffords at a public appearance in Arizona are all examples of active shooter situations. An active shooter is an individual actively engaged in killing or attempting to kill people inside an occupied structure or outside in a populated area. In most cases, there is no pattern or method to their selection of victims. Active shooter situations are unpredictable and evolve quickly. It is important to be prepared for such an event. Make it a practice to identify potential escape routes and have a plan in mind, even if you are just visiting a facility. In the event of a shooting at your location, you must quickly determine the most reasonable way to protect your own life. You will need to determine if the best course of action is to evacuate or to hide. Call 911 when it is safe to do so. If there is an accessible escape route, attempt to evacuate. Be sure to leave your belongings behind. Help others escape if possible, but do not attempt to move wounded people. Evacuate regardless of whether others agree to follow. Warn individuals not to enter an area where the active shooter may be, and follow the instructions of any police officers. If evacuation is not the best option, find a place to hide where the shooter is less likely to find you. And be sure your hiding place does not trap or restrict you or your options for movement. Consider the difference between cover and concealment. Cover will protect you from gunfire, and concealment will hide you from the view of the shooter. Quickly choose the best option. If you are caught out in the open and cannot conceal yourself or take cover, you might consider trying to overpower the shooter with whatever means are available. To protect your hiding place, lock the door if you can. Block the door with heavy furniture, and close, cover, and move away from windows. Hide behind large items such as cabinets or desks. Remain quiet. Silence your cell phone and/or pager. Even the vibration setting can give away a hiding position. When you call 911, remember to tell the operator the location of the active shooter. If there are multiple shooters, physical description of and number of weapons held by the shooter, as well as the number of potential victims at the location. When law enforcement arrives on the scene, their primary goal is to eliminate the threat and stop the shooter as soon as possible. First responders will not be able to stop to help injured persons until the environment is safe. Knowing what to expect will help keep you calm and allow law enforcement to quickly neutralize the threat. Officers may arrive in teams with tactical equipment such as vests, helmets, and rifles. They will need to take command of the situation. Expect to experience officers shouting orders and even pushing people to the ground for their safety. It is possible that officers from multiple jurisdictions will arrive on the scene. When law enforcement officials arrive, it is important that you keep your hands visible at all times. Avoid making any sudden movements. Avoid pointing, screaming, and/or yelling. Put down any items. Immediately raise your hands and spread your fingers. Remain calm and follow instructions. Do not stop to ask officers for help when evacuating. Just proceed in the direction from which officers are entering the location. For more awareness resources, please visit dhs.gov/critical infrastructure.
Okay, so let's summarize. Emergency preparedness is about being simply that, prepared for emergencies when they might happen. We don't know when, we don't know what. The best we can do is to try to prepare for anything and everything that can or might occur. The books at your locations are available to you. Review them. If you have any questions, concerns, reach out to your supervisor. Feel free to contact myself. If you review something and you have suggestions, please make them. We only get better by continuing to review our policies and update that information to make sure that we are giving the best advice and the best instructions to everyone. And finally, to touch on our active shooter information that we provided, 3 priorities whenever you if you were to ever encounter a situation like that. The first is, if you can safely, run and evacuate. If you cannot get out, hide and bunker down somewhere safe and try to put as much between you and the shooter as possible. And the third is that if you cannot run and you cannot hide, then you defend yourself. I want to thank each of you for participating today, and stay safe out there.